Okay, so in the last video we posted, or the clip, there's a clip of us talking about the one problem I have with Infinity War. This opened up a can of worms, or is that the right expression? Can of
Yeah.
worms. This opened up a can of worms of the things that you have a problem with Endgame, and I have a few problems with Endgame, not as many as you do, but I haven't really had a chance to hear all of your problems with the film because I wanted to save it for my live reaction. So I kind of want you to slowly, I mean, maybe not slowly, but take me through why you don't. So you told me in the movie theater you did not like the movie. Is that true?
Yes.
And tell me why.
I will say that
And you were with a friend, right?
I was yeah, I will say that I like the movie now.
What?
And I still I enjoyed the movie, but there was a lot of things that I was very mad
That
about.
bothered you.
That really bothered me.
Okay.
So
Explain.
the first one I'm just gonna jump right into one of the biggest
you
ones.
can do whatever you want.
So I remember before the movie came out, there was leaks about them in the red and white suits, which alluded to them.
I hated that.
Yeah, it alluded to them having time travel. And I remember when I was watching the movie, they were like, okay, we're gonna do time travel, and they go to Tony Stark, and Tony Stark is like, oh, I can't. There's no way I can do time travel. And then he spends 5 minutes in the basement with a sucker in his mouth, and he discovers the Mobius strip after like 30 seconds of contemplation, and then he's like, we can do time travel. And I just remember the whole time I just kept thinking, okay, when is the time travel not going to work, and when are we going to get to the real thing that they're going to do?
Yeah.
I remember thinking this is like a diversion tactic.
There's no way we're just using time travel to fix everything.
There's no way we're going to use this as a cop out. And so then when they actually did time travel, I was like, oh, okay. And that's more so just a nitpicky thing on my part. It's not necessarily a big issue.
Well, before you continue, I will say the only time where I have not had an issue with time travel is Days of Future Past, X-Men, because that's an actual comic in it, and I like the way they did it. And also Terminator 2. Other than that, I hate it. I hate when people use time travel it's such a cop out, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, you have to do it in a very specific way. But the problem I had with the time travel is that it led to a whole other host of issues, which
let's hear it.
I'm going to get into. So in their timeline, right, they meet Thanos at the beginning, and they say, where's the stones? And he's like, I've made them, I've shrunk them into atoms, or whatever he said. So I'm assuming that means he just made them so small you can't find them.
Yeah, well, they still exist, though.
They still exist, right? Okay. They time travel. They go get.
Are you talking about New York?
Yeah.
When Hulk tries to. Yeah.
They time travel. They go get another time stone, bring it back to their time. You're telling me there's no consequences to having two different time stones in the same timeline?
I mean, that's the thing is, didn't the bald wizard say? Didn't she say like, "Hey, taking one stone from my reality may save your reality, but it's consequential." So if that's the right word.
Yeah, there was definitely something there, but I mean, also two power stones, two soul stones. Yeah. You're telling me that there's not some kind of crazy.
There's no time stone tornado.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one issue. You can just think about that one. Make of it what you will. But it leads me to the next issue with the Infinity Stones, and that is that all of the rules that they set up for the Infinity Stones throughout all the other movies kind of just got thrown out the window. I'll give you an example. Guardians of the Galaxy. Peter Quill holds the Power Stone. He's half god, and he has the full power of the Guardians alongside with him. And even then, they all almost their skin starts peeling off. They're dying. Meanwhile, Endgame, everyone is just full palming, touching all 5 stones at once on top of the
grabbing it willy-nilly.
Yeah, okay, I get that it's in the gauntlet. I don't care. They're exposed. They just full on Spider-Man grabs it and he's just running it like a football. No problem. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And the other, this is also another issue. Do you remember when he was making the Iron Man gauntlet?
Yeah.
And it was like taking him every ounce of focus, like he's performing surgery.
Yeah, seriously.
And then at the end of the movie, when Iron Man steals.
It just like does it
Yeah,
itself.
with all the and he just no problem just takes them with no consequences. Well, I mean he dies, but there's like I feel like it
No, yeah,
shouldn't
he
have even
dies.
been able to get into the gauntlet.
No, yeah, and okay. Well, one thing that I like it made okay. So you know when Thor goes to crap, I can't remember the place, but where Thanos had the gauntlet made, right?
Yeah,
And he was like, "Oh, a
with
power,
Peter Dinklage.
yeah, a power strong enough." Like, it made it seem like this gauntlet was the only thing that could wield all Infinity Stones, but that was basically retconned, basically, because there was two different Iron Man gauntlets that were able to do it, right? So,
Yeah.
do they just need to be in the same vicinity with each other? Like, how does I don't know.
Yeah, okay. My other issue with it is that okay, so they bring back Thanos time the young Thanos time travels to the future.
Mm-hmm.
His whole fleet is just right above Avengers headquarters.
Yeah.
And he just drops a whole payload of space nukes on the Avengers headquarters. And everyone just like tucks and rolls and survives. Everyone's just like
Somehow they're all just willy nilly. They're all
yeah.
okay.
They just tucked and rolled. They just pressed B to dodge in a video game, and they just got out of there like no problem. You're telling me a whole bunch of space nukes from the most dangerous man in the world didn't kill anyone?
Yeah.
Ant-Man just like was surfing on the rubble. I don't know. That whole situation was. It just took me out of the movie so quick. When there's things like that where there's no consequences, it just takes me out of it very quick.
No, I absolutely agree.
Okay, my final issue, and honestly, maybe my biggest one, and it wasn't the biggest one for the longest time, but now it's the one that hurts my heart the most, is that we never got to see Hulk redeem himself against
I know.
Thanos.
What the heck? I actually I didn't even think of that. Like, he just turns into like the thing that makes the Hulk so important is like he's just like this freaking rage,
Just
like
Hulk
a rage
out.
monster. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But when you have like a mind as brilliant as Bruce Banner, like it's just not the same. Like, yeah, he's still as strong.
Well, this is what my hopes for it was. That I remember leading up to it. This is what I was thinking. Okay, you see Hulk and Thanos fight in the Infinity War, right?
Dude,
And
that fight pissed me off.
Hulk,
Well, I mean,
Hulk went in guns ablazing, but Thanos is in the fight they make him look as big as strong and as strong as him, but Thanos is like pulling out space jujitsu
yeah.
and like karate and stuff. So I was hoping that Hulk, while he mastered being smart in Hulk form, I was hoping that he spent all those years mastering how to fight in the Hulk body. Could you imagine if
That would
Hulk
be amazing.
pulls up and he can just fight without being angry?
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind that either. But again, like I think the thing that makes the Hulk, because there's plenty of characters that are really strong and can fight and things.
That's
but I
true.
think the things that make the Hulk, Doomsday, like and some versions of Solomon Grundy very intimidating is like they don't have like they just do,
That's
right?
a good
Like
point.
he's just a like Tony Stark says it, he's just a green rage monster.
You know that they also never really show or bring up how they have in every other Hulk movie, except for whatever reason the MCU they don't. How he gets stronger as he's getting
he gets
attacked,
stronger. Yeah,
and he gets stronger as he gets shot.
sometimes he gets bigger too.
Yeah, sometimes he gets bigger. So what's the deal with that?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're on a whole other
Hulk
issue.
never redeemed himself. He was very underwhelming.
So Hulk time travel issues with the Infinity Stones, and then the whole situation where the Avengers stadium, Avengers headquarters got bombed.
Stadium.
Those are my issues that we could dive into deeper at some point. But that's the gist.
Okay, these are 6 criticisms of like, and some of them I could care less about. Like some people say that Endgame is too long. I could care less.
No, it should be longer.
Yeah, some people say there's a lot of downtime in Endgame, which is true. Some people say that there's a lot of knowledge you have to have. But like, if you love the MCU, why is that an issue? Some people say that time travel is confusing. We said that. Hulk's underwhelming. One thing I was reading about is that the Avengers Endgame deaths shouldn't even matter, and they're just saying because like why does it matter? Like they can just go. I mean, in another universe, they can just like you know what I mean. Like that's because like the one problem I have with Infinity War or not Infinity Endgame is like they're beating up on Thanos, but it's not the same Thanos.
Yeah, no, that's
You know what I mean?
they don't actually
Like they
fit.
don't redeem themselves.
Yeah.
They chop his head off.
They
And
already
everything.
killed Shrek Thanos.
Yeah, Shrek Thanos.
They already killed him.
Well,
So
like, and that's another thing is like when I remember watching the movie and I see Thor. By the way, he was such a bad A. He cuts his head off, and they're like, "What did you do?" He's like, "I went for the head." And then it's like the music plays, and it's all dramatic. And it's like, and I'm literally at that point because I saw the spoilers, and I was just like you. I was really hoping that it wasn't time travel,
yeah.
but I remember thinking in the theater, I'm like, okay, what now? Like, what are they? Thanos is dead. So like, who's the bad guy in this? Like, who's all these things were running through my mind, and some of that's good, but then they do the 5 year gap,
Yeah.
and I hate that. And I think the reason why they did the 5 year gap is for Tony Stark's daughter, Morgan. Like that.
Makes sense.
That's the only
Yeah.
thing I can think of on why they would do a 5 year gap. Other than that, why would they do that? Like, why would they need it? Right? Like,
No, yeah.
they don't need it. And so I always think it's foolish to do something like a gap when it only relies on one variable. And then again, like Thanos wasn't the same. And we're not saying that Endgame's like terrible. Like I enjoyed the film. I loved it for what it is. This was more so that things that came up after like watching it a second time and thinking about it. And it's like, wait, what? Like, anyways, but some other things is like they're like one thing I have, and maybe this is just the MCU in general, but you know how they built up this like relationship between Black Widow and the Hulk,
Yeah.
and it went absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, nowhere.
Like it went nowhere, and that happened in that 5 year gap because like there was some tension when he's like, "Oh hi," like "Hi Nat," and she's like, "Oh what?" And there was some tension there, right? But then like it just like disappeared in 5 years. Like what was Bruce Banner doing for 5 years besides just trying to be the Hulk? And like it's incredible to think that like there was nothing between Tony and Bruce. Anyways, I'll talk about that a little bit. But like they didn't have a relationship for another 5. Like they just like kind of went their separate ways for no reason at all.
Yeah, and Captain Marvel got a haircut.
What?
I know that has nothing to do with what you're talking about.
Yeah,
But
he got a haircut.
Captain Marvel, remember she pulls up with the new hairdo?
Oh yeah, that was dumb. But like, and then another thing is like, how is Thor still worthy after being a fat slob for 5 years? Like
After losing on Fortnite for 5 years.
to Noob Master 69.
Yeah, that's another. I was pretty mad that they.
And he's like, I'm still worthy. And it's like, how? Like, how? Just because you had a pep talk with your mom?
It was good that they made Thor look like the dude from The Big Lebowski, though.
Like, obviously, I didn't like that Thor was fat, but it's realistic in the sense of like he was depressed because he felt like he failed. Like, and they even show it when Hulk's like, hey, like we can beat Thanos, and he's like, don't ever say that name again. I obviously they had plans in place, and we're not movie writers. Like, I'm not saying we could do it better, but what I am saying is I would have preferred the team that was alive to beat the actual Thanos, right? Closer to the timeline, but they made the stakes bigger because Tony Stark was like, get what we lost, absolutely, keep what I have at all costs or whatever. He said something like that.
You're telling me it wouldn't have just been harder or easier for Tony Stark to just make an Infinity Stone locating device?
I guess.
So that they could just go find the stones.
I don't know.
Wasn't that their plan all along, to go find
just
the stones,
find stones
and then fix the whole thing?
Yeah. And then it's like, so you're telling me Ant-Man's the savior of the universe because he invented the quantum realm? Like, I don't know.
Because he knew quantum physics.
Because he knew quantum physics, and he had a quantum car and a quantum hairbrush. Because they just put quantum in front of everything.
Yeah, it has nothing actually to do with quantum physics whatsoever.
I know. Like, oh, that's a quantum bird. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Anyways, anything else you want to say before we end our thoughts?
No.
Anyways, I still love Endgame, but Infinity War is better.
Infinity War is better.
100%.
Infinity War
felt so good because we had a 7-year payoff.
And Infinity War is the Empire Strikes Back of the Marvel Universe.
Amen, brother.
It is. That's what it is to me.
I'm telling all the best movies, the villain wins.
Yeah, I mean, you don't always want the villain to win.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, think about it. The Dark Knight, Empire Strikes Back, Infinity
Emperor's
War,
New Groove.
Emperor's New Groove, like all that good stuff. Like, anyways. All
Okay.
right, bye.